Hello, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world at the minute. So you just had the live web hacking University CTF 2021 web challenge explained. We're now doing the reverse of that in essence and doing a bit of a talk through one of the challenges from last year. And that is blue content / forensics explained by myself, who is sebh24, or Sebastian Haig if you want to find me on LinkedIn. My role here at Hack the Box is the defensive content lead, and I've been here for about 3 months now, so I'm fairly new to it. So keep your eye out for blue team content that will be coming at some point. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. The activity I'm covering today is a challenge called Keep the Stream Activated. I won't be accessing this in the usual manner. I've access to this. I've downloaded this already in advance. I had a bit of a play around this last night because I know I've only got 30 minutes to go through this today. So I did open it in Network Miner last night. I had a quick gander through the PCAP, but then got a bit distracted doing other bits. So I guess the first thing I do when I go into a file, so I've got Network Miner ready there. If you just ls-alh on this and have a look at the size of the PCAP, I want to make sure it's not too big, so I can open it up in Wireshark. I know previously, when sort of dealing with incidents where I actually have had PCAP data, the PCAPs come in pretty large file sizes, and in my experience, anything over 1 gigabyte simply just will not open properly in Wireshark. It'd be very slow to parse. I'd probably want to use something like TCPdump or Network Miner to get an overview of that before we go in. Before just delving into this, let's have a look at what the README says, which is the network in which our main source of Steam is connected to got compromised. If they managed to gain full control of this network, it would be a disaster. So what I take from that is I believe a compromise may have occurred. If they managed, I guess, gain potential domain admin or administrator or higher privileges, it will be a disaster for whoever we're working for here. So knowing it's a PCAP, the first thing we're going to do is just open up Network Miner. A big shout out to NetResec who designed this, something I've used pretty regularly when dealing with PCAPs. No updates. Dash check. Okay, brilliant. Network Miner is open, and what we can do is just drag our capture into there. Okay, great. So if I look to the right, I'm just keeping an eye on the time I've got left to go through this. It is a bit of a fast fire round. And what we can see in here straight away are a variety of hosts. It does check or attempt to confirm the operating system for you. And what I like to do instead of going by IP address sending is go by sent packets sending. To see which are the busiest hosts on the network. As you can see, the DC, probably expected, is the busiest here. With a large amount of sent packets, then got the Linux box. Two Windows, two Windows, standard Windows machines. If we look at the actual ports that we can see open on there, so NetBIOS, so probably not a wide variety in there. And then machines are port 80, port 4443, and 8080. So 80 is used for web services. 4443, I believe, is a sort of alternate means of communication for port 443, so HTTPS. 8080, often used for things like proxy services and bits like that. And we can see on here the ports that have been utilised are so port 445 and NetBIOS 135 and 49734, which quite know what that is, probably a high ephemeral port. And then we got 5985, which is WinRM by default. So that's Windows Remote Management. Okay, and the next thing I like to do while going into this is just jump into files and have a look at what it's pulled out already. And what we can see it has pulled out are a couple of files called so n.exe, rev.ps1.txt, wsman, which once again, if you look here, indicates WinRM activity on port 5985. What else do we have in here? Drop.ps1.txt, once again, that's also pretty unusual to see. And we can see the source host for that is 192.168.1.9 on port 80. So I believe it's likely hosting web service that's probably hosting the files we can see there. So that's rev.ps1 n.exe. And also drop.ps1. I believe Netminer adds the .txt to scripts just to avoid you executing these accidentally on your own host. But what we can do is just open that folder up. We can see the 3 files that are in there. So we're just going to I like to put them all in one place. We don't have to do this, but I'm going to copy these to my artifact folder that I created earlier. Okay, great. Now, a quick thing I'd like to do here is just drop these into VirusTotal. I guess it's probably the best way forward from here. So let's open up our browser and VirusTotal. Okay, brilliant. Now, okay, brilliant. So we've got VirusTotal open here. We can just simply drop end.exe into there. And what we can see here immediately is it looks like potentially netcat. Okay, netcat. So that's most likely what this binary is. Like I said, I've only really ever seen it used maliciously. I do know some sysadmins may use it to test open ports and bits like that. I personally think if you're doing that, you should probably just use PowerShell or even PuTTY if you have it on your machine. Okay, now these other bits, what we can do is just open these within VSS. Okay, great. What we can see here are, if we just go to word wrap, it's very, very, very obfuscated. What we can make out are, so obviously, yes, via the start, we see a variety of invoke commands. Looks like invoke some kind of stream here. But I think a key point to note here is 192.168.1.9 and port 4443. And once again, it's our Linux box that I believe, looking at this, is probably malicious on this network. If it was a live incident, I'd probably get in the client or whoever I'm working for at that time to immediately isolate this host and locate the host 192.168.1.9 internally, as it is a private IP address. Okay, great. And the drop.ps1, SVO, new object, IO memory stream. Okay, so what we can do here, if we need to, is just copy and paste this out and use something called CyberChef. Okay. So we'll go from base 64, and what we'll see is like compression mode decompress. So what will most likely fit this will be a raw inflate. But what I like to use is something called magic, just to confirm that. And once again, we can see raw inflate fits the bill here. So we go raw inflate. Okay, so MZ is likely some kind of executable. Scroll down. We can also see once again web proxy, a default web proxy is defined within that, and that is 192.168.1.9. And what we're going to do though is just save the output of this. Yeah, I'm going to save the output of this and just hit save output to file. We'll call it artifacts, artifact 1. And we're going to save this, save file, yep. We can open the directory up where it is. That should be in downloads now. Okay, I'm going to copy this and just place it once again into the relevant directory. Please don't judge me for not using the command line when doing that. I think it was easier in that case to do it this way. Okay, brilliant. So what you can see here, if we hit type in file and go artifact 1, it's a, okay, yeah, that's good. So portable executable for Windows. Okay, perfect. So let's just, while we're here, let's drop that into VirusTotal as well and see what comes up. Okay, yeah. So we see it looks like some kind of dropper. I find a good place to go on here is community. Okay, brilliant. What we see is Thor has got a match to that. And the match is some kind of Covenant launcher or Covenant stager. If you just do a quick Google as to what Covenant is, for everyone's awareness. Okay, let's probably put C2 in front of that. So it is a command and control platform used by red teamers. Okay, excellent. Very quick start, guys. Okay. Fun with Covenant C2. I like to have a quick read of these in a bit more detail usually. I haven't got as much time today. But I'll have a gander as to how Covenant works. We see it launches things called grunts. That's probably like the victims or clients as part of this. Okay. Yeah, we can't get too much more from that, I don't think. But this would indicate that the machine that's running on this network is either a proxy or potentially a compromised host running traffic to a Covenant server eventually. Okay, excellent. So I guess we have confirmed initially that the 192.168.1.9 host is malicious, and the 1.10, so the DC, is likely compromised. Okay, what else do we need to go into here? So I think now it's probably a good time to get this PCAP open in Wireshark. We know so far the ports of interest are port 80, 4443, and 8080. And what we have also seen is a variety of traffic on WinRM. So I guess all the ports that are open or that we have seen to be used on that host. So we'll see out of that. And what we can do is just open this capture up in Wireshark. Okay, brilliant. So what I like to do initially is just have a quick gander at what we believe potentially the immediate hosts of interest. So IP.adder equals 192.168.1.10. Okay, great. So that's our DC. That's what we're parsing this on at the minute. We can see there's a variety of generic SMB traffic here. I think what I'd like to do initially is just have a quick scroll down and see if you see anything of immediate interest. Okay, but the first thing we come to is the get rev.ps1. Is that one of the files that we have had a look at already? Okay, yes, it is. Okay, perfect. So we have had a look at that file already. What we can see is that this was the quite deobfuscated PowerShell. And what we can see here is 192.168.1.9 and 4443. What I'd like to do initially, though, is obviously that's on port 80, is just have a look at all the relevant traffic for this host on that port. Okay, we'll see shortly after that. They also got the netcat.exe file, which we confirmed already. And then there's not any real traffic on port 80 for quite some time until we're looking at the WSMan. User administrator, which looks like it indicates potential WinRM at some point. Okay, so let's come back out of this, and what we're going to do now is just have a look at the traffic that we saw on port 4443, and we'll work our way through that. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we see here, so invoke expression, the object. So what we're going to do now, while we are here, to make this easier to see, is just view as a TCP stream. Okay, so here are my host names. So we believe that Corp A Smith, so a domain account at Corp A Smith has at some point been initially compromised. The PCAP doesn't quite detail, I guess, how that could have happened, so we'll leave that. What I'd probably do is ask for a variety of artifacts to be pulled back from the DC itself. Okay, corp-dc, ntds util, ntds-util.exe. Okay, so we can see that they've, in essence, made a copy of the ntds.dit. That file is a database that stores a variety of sort of AD data, generic information about users, objects, groups, and a variety of other bits. And they've also then copied both the system and security registry hives. They've then downloaded the netcat.exe from what we believe is a malicious internal server, potentially a C2 or a proxy. And they've saved that to public music n.exe. Once again, we'll look at retrieving that from the host just to double confirm, but we believe we've got that in the PCAP anyway. They then just use cert util to, I guess, save this as some kind of certificate, but base 64 encoding all of that as well, as we can see there. and they've outputted that to temp ntds.b64. And they've then done the same for the system hive, but not security, and that's fairly interesting at this point, I think. So they've only wanted to retrieve 2 files, and then outputted those using netcat with its standard sort of syntax on port 8080. Okay, brilliant. So I guess what we can do now is just move back over to port 8080 and see if we can actually find that relevant traffic. Okay. So we're going to change this to 8080. Okay, so we see it start the conversation here. And as soon as the push begins as transfer of data, we can see what is the certificate as expected. Just there. Sorry for hitting my microphone then. Okay, excellent. So if we just have a look down here, I'd expect to see some kind of equals at the bottom to indicate this is base64 encoded data. Oh. Wait for a second for this to load. Okay, brilliant. And if you just take this right down to the bottom, you see, yeah, the equals there. Instead of copying this out, that'll take me a bit of time to scroll all the way up, and not the most amount of time to get to the rest of this today. So I'm going to just save this into the artifacts directory. And we'll call this, I believe it was the ntds.dit that went first, and that's the first one that came up in the packet. So I believe this is likely the ntds.dit. We will double check that though. Okay, excellent. Now, if we just come back into this, and what I will do, just in case, is I will mark that packet. Okay, excellent. We'll go back to this. We're just on that packet, and what we can do now is just scroll down, and at some point, we should see the start of a fin app. Okay, so that packet is marked. Yep, okay. Okay, and there's the initial transfer of the other data that we saw. It's a real shame Networkminer couldn't pull this out, to be honest with you. But that's what we got this for. Rather than checking at the bottom, we're just going to straight away save this. And this is likely the system hive, as we saw that transfer a second, didn't see anything else. And we will save that as system. Okay, brilliant. Now, I'm not immediately sure exactly what this would be used for. So I'm just going to pause the stream very quickly because I haven't got the most time to go through this. I'm going to do a bit of research as to, I guess, what the ntds.dit and system can be used for. Okay, brilliant. So I'm back in the room, done a bit of reading as to how we can potentially get around this and what, I guess, the system hive and ntds.dit file are often used for. And so what we can actually do, as we see here on this site, ired.team, is dump domain controller hashes both locally and remotely. And you can see here it's quite familiar, the commands we're seeing here on victim machines. Similarly, they've obviously also dumped out both its system and security registry hives, and then taking them across their local machine. But I think a key point here is that we can see they've used int packets, secrets dump, to actually grab the NTLM hashes offline. So I think we're going to try that here and just see what can potentially be taken from this, because that'll give us a bit of an idea as to what the attacker may have done next. So if we just close this down and close this down, we're just going to here, we'll cd. Let's make this a bit smaller, and we'll cd into desktop forensic CTF. That's forensic stream. Okay, we can probably just copy this pretty much exactly as it is. Okay, secrets dump. Rather than doing the bin, it's already defined there, and then we'll do system, and that should be artifact system file. And then we haven't got to security. What we're going to do initially is just miss that. And then we'll do dash ntds, and that'll be artifacts ntds.dit. And then we'll type it hit local at the end. Okay. Okay, I see what we've got to do here. That is all base64 data right now, so let's cd back into artifacts. Okay, we'll cat the ntds. Okay, as it's okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is just move ntds.dit to ntds.dit-b64, and we'll do the same for our system. System-b64, and then we're going to cat system b64 and then output that to base64-d, and then we can save that as system. Okay. Okay, I forgot to take the top and bottom off this certificate. Okay, so what we can do is just go into artifacts. We'll very quickly just delete this, and we can drop this into here and delete the top line, and bottom line of that. There we go. And file save. We'll do the same for our ntds. I'm hoping I've got these the wrong way around. I'm pretty sure it's ntds first and then the system hive after that was transferred. So based on that, I think we're bang on. Okay, perfect. Let's save this. Okay, excellent. Okay, we'll minimize that and we will try that again. Okay, perfect. And that this time has worked. And we can confirm that by hitting file system. We see that's Windows registry file. So I think we got this the right way round. And we go through exactly the same for ntds.dit, and we'll just, there we go. And then if we found that perfect, so I think we're very much on the right road here. And now what we can do is just cd out of here. And as discussed, we can look at using our previous command, being in packet secret stump. Okay. So you see it's decrypted hashes and it's dumped out the NTL hashes for, I think the key point here is administrator account. And remember earlier we did see that used with WinRM. Not long after we saw the initial malicious traffic. And we'll just confirm that by going into tcp.port equals 5985. There we go, we can see the initial auth here with the user administrator. So I think it's safe to assume at this point that the user administrator has most likely been compromised. Our only issue is we can't actually see any of the traffic as within our packet capture. So I'm not quite sure where to go from here initially. It's probably worth Googling to see if we can potentially, now we got the hash, decrypt that in some way, shape or form. So what I'm just going to do is go to Google and just go decrypt WinRM. Okay, and we can see here that there's a script that exists for decrypting WinRM using a password or an NTLM hash, which is what we do have, which is brilliant. Okay, so if we just go into here, 3. Okay, excellent. So let's go git clone. Okay, git clone, and then we'll paste this into here. Okay, brilliant. cd decrypt WinRM pip3, and then we'll, okay, perfect, pip3 install -r requirements. Okay, so requirements are already satisfied, which is brilliant. And then in terms of how to use this, so we've got the Python 3 WinRM decrypt, and then you go for the packet capture. But in advance of that, to save processing time, what I'm going to do is just TCP dump out all the WinRM traffic anyway, and that should make our life a bit easier. Capture.pcap, and then we'll go port 5985, and we should see a variety of traffic there. -w winrm.pcap. Okay, TCP-NR WinRM, let's confirm there's stuff in there, and there is. Okay, brilliant. So that should make the processing of that a bit easier. Okay, good. So now if we just run Python 3, WinRM decrypt.py -n, and that wants our hash. So let's scroll back up there, and we'll just copy this out. Okay, let's paste that in, and then we need our packet capture. So that'll be .winrm.pcap. Okay, perfect. So we can see there's a variety of strings there. What we're likely going to have to do here is just output that to a file. So decrypted.txt. Okay, perfect. So let's get decrypted.txt and pipe that into a more. Okay. Okay, let's make this full size. I'm doing this. Let's collapse that subterminal. So we see what it looks like here, a large base64 encoded command, which is of immediate interest, to be honest with you. So what we can do is copy and paste that. And we'll use CyberChef again for this. Okay. Okay, so protocol version, PowerShell version. So nothing much of immediate interest in there. So let's keep on coming down. Where are we? And see what else we can find within this. Okay, and that looks like pretty much everything in there. So let's go through that again. Okay, so that is the only thing of real immediate interest within that basic 40 coded content. What I'm going to do is make sure we haven't missed anything is copy and paste that into here. Okay. Okay, so there's nothing of real value within there. What we're doing now is just put that into less this time, because I believe there may have been a few bits that we missed. We can see a lot of the stuff has been base64 encoded anyway. You can see a shell there. We can see some additional strings here, so stream name std out. It is also base64 encoded content. So that'll be what has appeared on screen. And what I'm going to do is just copy and paste this into CyberChef as well. Okay, brilliant. Okay, once again, nothing of huge value within there again. We're just going to do this for each stream that we do see. Okay, so let's keep going here. Okay, amazing. So I did put a pause on that very quickly as I went through this sort of one by one, all the way down the file to make sure there was definitely time to get this. What we can see here within the actual WinRM decrypted data is after going through, I guess, each STD out that is being base64 encoded, that you can actually get the flag eventually. And that is HTTP, nothing is true, everything is decrypted. So that, I guess, at a high level, is my talk through of a challenge. I know it was quite fast, but I had to get it done within 30 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I am here for any questions that you do have. Thank you very much.
And that was Seb solving some blue content from last year's university, some of the last year's forensic challenges. Yes, I understand. I saw some of the comments. The screen might be too small, but that is okay because, first of all, you can jump in right after, and you can listen also to what the Seb is saying while you're going to solve them by yourself on the platform. And now that we're talking about Seb, he is here with us in order to do some live QA. If you have any questions or for tomorrow. So I will jump in and add Seb to the stream. Hello, Seb. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly, loud and clear.
Yeah, not bad. Apologies for the text being a bit too small there. That's probably one of the first videos I recorded for quite some time. So I do apologise for that. I guess if I don't get any questions, feel free to just hit me up.
Perfect. I have some questions that I picked earlier from Discord, and that would be if you could name like top 3 tools that someone should get his or their hands on in order to get better. What would you suggest? What are your go-to?
Is this for forensics or DEFA? Is this for the blue side?
For the blue side, yeah.
Okay, so I think in terms of tools, I mean, initially I think getting hands on command line, understanding how to use a command line is probably number 1 for me. Because a lot of what you do in DEFA can go back to that, especially in enterprise-based forensics when you're talking about a lot of big data. It's very hard to just, I think gone are the days now where you get a full image for heavy investigation, you slam it into Autopsy or Axiom, and you press go. Gone are those days now. A lot of time now you're getting like phase 1 artifacts back from a CAPE output, and that can include things like Windows event logs, Amcache prefetch files, MFT, for example. So I think CLI originally. Moving from that, probably the biggest tool I've used on Windows hosts would be Zimmerman's toolset. Eric Zimmerman's got a wide variety of tools that exist. I think getting your head around those tools is probably, I would say, more beneficial than what it's probably called traditional forensics. And then after that, I'd probably go for some kind of SIEM tool. A lot of the data I get, I like to ingest into a SIEM tool. My tool of choice is Splunk, massive Splunk fanboy, but ELK can be just as useful. And a lot of the time now when you go and work for organizations, they've got big data tools, SIEM tools, be that XDR, EDR, or something similar. And if you get your head around the search syntax of a couple of them, you can transition between them quite easily. So that's where I'd go.
Perfect. Thank you for the tips. And something else in order for the people to meet you, that now you're joined the Hack the Box family. When and why you joined the Hack the Box?
So I used to play a lot of Hack the Box quite some time ago. My transition into the industry, it was originally Blue Team, but I felt like I wanted to learn a bit of Red. When I was in the Air Force, I had a fair bit of time to do so. So I used to do a lot of that. I went from over the wire into Hack the Box, and then me and Igor earlier this year had a chat, and I was quite surprised at being approached about potentially working at Hack the Box one day. And I thought, hey, I may as well interview for it. We'll see how it goes. It'd be a dream place to work. And I guess here I am now doing something that I do love, which is defensive content building with a real focus on realism. I want to go away from challenges where you just get a memory dump and someone's run Mimikatz on it, and that's it. I want to add a real scenario and story focus to everything that you investigate on the platform. So
perfect. And something without teasing or giving away too much, something that you are working on now that you are very excited and you can share a few details?
I can't share too much, but I think really focusing on the story and background and making sure we can simulate a large corporate environment for each blue team challenge that we create. So I think that focus on that is what we're really honing in on right now.
Thank you for sharing all these details. If you have any more questions, make sure, guys, to leave them in the YouTube channel. Thank you also for for dropping by, Seb. We're going to go now on a small break. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.